How are you, man?
I want to die. I was supposed to stay up all night because I'm like a full week behind on videos to finish editing that video, and I couldn't fucking do it. I woke up and I was like, alright, like I have to get it done today. And then I'm like sick and just want to die, and nothing got done. And I'm just so sick of this, dude. Depression can go the fuck away forever.
How feels to chew 5 gum? Stimulate your senses.
I'm sorry, what about depression? I'm just playing. I've been so tired lately, like I don't even... It's probably depression, it's probably just malnourishment. Because I don't eat, but...
What do you mean you don't
figured it might
eat?
be fun. Well, I don't usually eat breakfast, and I usually don't eat like an actual lunch, so... Yeah.
I'm excited for death.
There's gonna become a certain point where it's just not funny anymore, because all we talk about is death and suicide and depression.
I'm not joking. No, today's one of those days where I'm actually just like, I hate everything. Like, what's the point of trying to do anything, and it's all meaningless. It's stupid existential bullshit. Pussy thoughts.
Yeah, I get that sometimes.
Bitch, you get that all the fucking time. Don't even lie.
I don't get pussy thoughts. I'm a
Pussy
virgin.
thoughts.
I'm an adult virgin. No,
Gotta be.
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's annoying as fuck. Like, I'm 22 years old, and I've probably been dealing with depression since. Are you gonna go try and get my reboot card at all, you stupid fuck?
Now I'm not. Now I'm thinking about not doing it anymore. That attitude, mister.
Anyway, I'm like 22, and I've probably been struggling with depression since I was like 11 or 12. Like, over half my life has just been like periodic points of just wanting to die and end myself.
I mean, at least if this ever goes anywhere, maybe we can like help people one day. Like, I don't know how it would help them, but I don't know. Just having an outlet like these deep talk videos, just to talk, and I feel like they're pretty relatable, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like being more creative, because like, you know, the last 2 years, all I've done is work my fucking job, and you know, there's no stimulation to that. So I've really just fucking hated everything. But you know, starting to go back to school and doing YouTube, it's really like, it's helped, like having more of a creative outlet, I guess you would say. It's still like not 100%, you know.
Dude, that job is killing you.
It really
slowly.
is. But you know, I gotta do what I gotta do to make money and progress. It's like I tell people, they're like, "No, what do you do?" Like right now, it's like, all right, well, I work a full-time job. I mean, I say I work a full-time job. It's my business. Like, I run a business, but it's a job. It's not something I like love doing. So. And then I go to school. You know, I take 9 credit hours, which is, you know, one class short of full-time schedule. And then I do this YouTube thing, which takes, you know, anywhere between like 20 and 30 hours out of my week to do. It's like I literally have no time to even just do the things that I need to do. But it's like everything has its purpose, and I can't really slack off on anything. I either want to or have to be doing all of that. Hopefully this testosterone thing works out for all of the viewers who might eventually come to my channel. I've got low testosterone, like really low for my age. So I went to the doctor, and they're getting me hopefully on some medication here in the next week or two that'll help with those feelings. Depression's a bitch.
When the chemicals in your body say yeet.
Isn't that the stupidest fucking shit though? Like all it is, this feeling of worthlessness, of just wanting to die, all it is just a little bit of like certain chemicals or compounds in your brain just not being where they need to be. And suddenly your entire life is just hell.
Yeah, your brain's like chemical. Your brain's like chemical balance. Who is she? We don't know her here.
That's like, how did we become the top of the food chain when they're so fragile that like a little imbalance in our brain is just like oh, time to kill ourselves.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's possible for other animals. I feel like there probably is another animal that has killed themselves before, like, or like a species that may have some sort of the similar effects. But I mean, most species like don't kill themselves. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's an
Their
interesting...
main focus is to survive. Like that's the only thing, no matter what. And then we're like, yeah, we're here, but fuck it, we'll die.
Well, there's a bunch of theories about, like, you know, because we're no longer like we don't have that survival purpose anymore of like hunting and gathering, since we're so like advanced, quotation marks, like advanced. Yeah. We're without meaning, and you know that's why we're all unsatisfied. But
you know what? People are always talking about how bad school shootings are. Well, that gives us another purpose to try and survive. So if anything, it's a good thing.
We should live in fear. Honestly, though.
Yeah, I mean, like Left 4 Dead, but with humans, dude, and guns.
What? I gotta hate myself so much. Like, I can't even imagine being in like an impoverished third world country, like having like someone who legitimately has struggles. And not that I haven't had struggles. You know, my childhood was rough by societal standards, but like. What would they think? Would they look at me and just be like, "Shut the fuck up, you pussy!" Like, I don't have food. I don't have clean water. Like, what are you bitching about? You have nothing wrong with your life, but it still feels like everything's like shit. Like I can't enjoy anything.
And sometimes I think it kind of helps me sometimes when I think like there's people out there that have it way worse than me, so that kind of helps me sometimes.
I mean, I like try and remind myself that too, but the sad part is it doesn't stop the feelings.
Yeah.
Just kill me. End it all.
It's kind of crazy to think that like the human brain is complex enough to the point where like we can rewrite all of our like natural code to like make us kill ourselves, you know, if we wanted to. To be able to inflict self-harm, there's literally like we were saying, the chemical balance, like something is actually wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
like even if you can't even like, you know, you can bite through a carrot hella easily, and you could bite through your finger just the same way, but your body physically won't let you, you know, because you don't want, you're not programmed to cause harm to yourself. Mm-hmm. But then, yeah, you know.
But then there's a part of you that, like, if you really want to, you can bite through your finger that easily, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fucking weird, dude. That's a bitch and a half to deal with, dude. When you said you were starting to deal with it too, I was just like, damn, like, it's shit that you don't want anybody else to ever have to go through.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound pretty stupid. I hate saying this, like, anybody should actually listen to what I have to say, but like, if you're going through depression out there, like, just ask people for help. Try and figure it out, you know? I've been working on it for a long time, and I think the biggest thing that I learned was to not be afraid to accept where you're at, and accept that, you know, you have depression or you are depressed, and try and do something about it.
It took me like 2 years to accept and realize that I had depression. It took me so long.
Yeah, I mean...
And then, once I accepted it and kind of realized, I was like, oh my god, like, I've been living with this the whole time, and I didn't even realize it.
Well, I mean, it's that, like, denial, man. You don't, like... Nobody
Well,
wants.
it's because like as a society, like even from a little kid, we're taught like depression is such a horrible thing, and it's like if you get there, then your life is ruined, and you're gonna be so blah, so blah blah blah,
Oh,
and so like when some people are there, they just can't even admit it, or they don't want to, because there's this like societal standard about it that's like, well, shit.
and there's such a stigma around it too. Like people feel like if you're depressed, like it makes you weak or whatever, and they don't want to tell anybody about it because they think like I don't want to be a weak person. But yes, it's like once you stop being afraid, like I remember the biggest thing with me, like especially in school, like high school and middle school, is like if you said you were depressed, like you always had that fear of people being just like, oh, you want attention, like yada yada. It's like who the fuck cares what other people think? Like if you
Oh my god.
if you're feeling a certain kind of way, and it's not up to anybody else to try and diagnose you unless they're they have the degree necessary to fucking do so. If they're not willing to help you or like be a support system, then you don't need those people in your life. You don't need anybody bringing you back down or not trying to be supportive. And that goes with the caveat as well of like you can't be one of those people who is just doing it for attention, because they exist and they give it a bad name. But asking for help, like it literally took me, I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old before I finally went to see a psychiatrist about my depression, because it was getting bad to the point where I was in danger of hurting myself, and I was like, you know what, it's time for me to grow the fuck up and do the adult thing and go get help. And I was broke as fuck at the time, and I used one of the resources in my community, which they do have. I was able to get help and go to the clinic and get medicated for pretty much for free. Like the clinic cost me like $50, but that was like a doctor's office, and then I got counseling for 6 months for free too, because of the community resource that I used, and finally started to get better and finally started to make progress in my life. And now I'm back at square one, but I think that's because this whole new issue has arisen with my testosterone. I really feel like as soon as I get that figured out, like shit's gonna be manageable again.
Yeah, a lot of people, I feel like a lot of their problems stem from other people, other peers, classroom, especially kids in high school. High school's a fucked up place for a lot of people. If you're not if you don't freaking look like Leonardo DiCaprio or Margot Robbie or something, then you're gonna have a hard time in high school. And then being able to have this skill of picking and choosing who you're around, that people that are gonna help you in your life and not bring you down is hard, because everyone's changing still, everyone's developing, they don't really know who they are, what they want to be, or their values, they're still learning all their morals and stuff. And so one day someone who you think is your friend and really close to you, the next day they can completely change and go spread rumors about you or go tell some secrets about you, and then that stuff follows you around, and you can't just drop everyone, cut everyone off. It's really hard to do that in high school.
It's weird too. I want you to talk a little bit more if you're comfortable about, because I kind of know what you're referencing, but you gonna get my reboot card or no?
Oh shit. Yeah.
But it's an interesting dynamic, you and I, because of our age difference. We're roughly 5-6 years apart. So you're still going through the high school bullshit, and then I'm here going through early adulthood, and it's funny how similar shit. Like, it's like half the people I meet or interact with haven't left high school. Like, they're doing the same shit.
Yeah.
And it's weird seeing the difference of like people who grew up and people who matured, and those are the people in high school that like had it rough,
Yeah.
versus the people who just act the same fucking way and never really learned how to be a human being.
I think it's such a valuable skill to have. Like, you can save yourself from a lot of pain and hurt and stuff. Just being able to like know who like the good people around you are. Okay. And being able to notice like some red flags from the beginning and know that, oh, this person's just gonna hurt me later on, or like,
Well, how do you?
But yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
In high school, it's so hard to do because pretty much everyone knows each other. Everyone knows of each other, and if someone were to like, if things were to happen, then this spreads around and everybody knows about it, and you can't really just let it go all the way, because it becomes such a thing for a while, and so it's hard to just pick up and move on until you really get out of high school. Because once everyone gets out of high school, I feel like that's another really big point in people's lives where they change. They're completely different senior year compared to like freshman or sophomore year of college, or if they don't even go to college. They're just very different. But yeah, it's just so hard to pick and choose good people around you, because no matter what, the bad stuff is always going to follow you around. You can't really let go of it, and that just can cause even more pain, or just make everything just a little bit worse. Even though when you feel like you're almost there, you're almost like let it go, and then something happens again, and yeah, it's just a weird cycle.
Go ahead and like, I'm curious as to what like skills you've learned to like kind of figure out those people who will be supportive of you versus the people who don't really, have your back. Because I know a lot of people deal with that.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I got pretty good at it. Sometimes I still make the decision to keep people around just because there's other like factors. Like, I know that it's probably not good for me in the long run, but I'll still keep them at a distance. I'll keep them on my left, but I'll keep them more at a distance because there's just other like factors that are keeping me from completely cutting them off. But anyways. I think one of the biggest like first things is like, if I find out that they're like talking shit about me in like a harmful way, or like just not a very nice way, like behind my back, then that's one of the biggest first signs for me.
I think that's a good one. Like, if people are gonna talk shit about you, they're not there for you. Like the people that are gonna support you are there for you even when you're not listening. They'll defend you. They'll have your back. I mean, not all the time.
That's
like
exactly what I think.
Like, if you're in the wrong and they don't have your back, you can't be mad about that. There's a limit, but.
But if you're nothing but nice and respectful to them, and you treat them with like the utmost respect, and you're nothing but nice to them, even when they're kind of a little shady around you, like with you, and you still treat them with respect, and you're just nice to them, and then they go and talk shit about you behind your back, that's the complete red flag right there. Like,
yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest things for me is like consistency with people. Like yeah, some of my closest friends have, I've had disagreements with and all of that, but they're not like, they see me for who I am. They don't judge me. And that's a big thing with people who support you, is not judging you for your actions. They can call you stupid for doing something stupid, but they're not gonna,
for sure,
they're not gonna tear down your character because of it, And I mean, yeah, again, another caveat to this: if you're just a shitty person, then don't expect this.
Yeah.
But if you genuinely try and be a good human being, these things all apply. But like my friends aren't afraid to tell me when I'm doing something wrong or when I'm doing something right,
Yeah.
Like, and they won't just be like, it's not going to be a judgment statement like, oh, you're gonna, oh shit, hold on, edit that out. Oh, protest. You're being stupid. Don't do that. They're gonna be like, hey, this is a bad idea, and here's why I think it's a bad idea for you to do this. And,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I think another flag that I think I kind of pick up on sometimes is like people who like project their insecurities and sometimes I guess even problems in certain occasions onto you. Like I think it's good to talk about problems and you know, real friends should always be able to have real conversations, you know, and it's not just like bullshit. They should be able to talk and like share problems and emotions and stuff. But when someone is like taking from their insecurities and then going out and like just shitting on other people for the way that they look, or you know, that kind of that whole deal, just to make themselves feel better, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I used to do that so much, and I regret it. So, but like,
Toxic, you're toxic.
no, like honest, I
No,
have
it's
no
good.
idea where you are. Oh, you're all the way over there. I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, I used to do that so much.
And also another thing is like looking for like people who have a lot of like double standards. Like, if you do something to them, it's like horrible and don't ever do that again. But then they can do it to you,
Right.
and it's fine. You know,
Yeah.
that's a really big one.
That's
Just look out for that, because like there's no reason why someone should call you out on something and then they allowed to do it to you. You know, that's.
And honestly, like, these past two things, like projecting insecurities and having double standards, they're just, like, people like that just don't know who they are, what to do with themselves, where they're gonna end up, or
Yeah.
how to properly deal with their feelings and emotions. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it's all just like immature. It's all just immaturity.
well, and
I guess.
sometimes this is a whole nature versus nurture argument, but sometimes they can't even be blamed. Like, if they weren't taught any better, like,
God.
I mean, I have some sympathy for that, and sometimes I don't. Like, I was.
How did that even
Oh
hit
my
me?
God, you just
Sorry.
got wrecked. Like, the reason I projected my insecurities onto other people is, you know, I came from a pretty dark childhood, and I never learned how like, emotions to me were dealt with yelling, screaming, with calling people names and violence. Like, so I didn't learn, but I figured it out. You know, I realized
Yeah.
what I was doing was wrong, and I made changes in my life accordingly. Some people will, and
Yeah.
some people won't. So you can give some kind of benefit of the doubt to people who do that, but if they're not willing to accept the fact that they have faults and flaws, and that, you know, willing to accept that they do those things, they're not worth your time. They'll either learn eventually, or they'll just be that way for the rest of their lives. But
Yeah.
anyone,
There's some people that doesn't apply to. You know, there's some people that like haven't dealt with the same things that like you had or other people have. There's some people, like, not gonna name that person's name obviously, but someone in my life right now who is extremely spoiled and gets whatever they want, and it's just a very spoiled person overall. Like they've never worked in their life, they've never had to work, they've never had to deal with any real like problems, yet they project all of their insecurities on everyone, and they're just very like kind of toxic, you know.
well,
that's
again,
when you know.
I think, like, to be honest, I think abuse and, like, I don't know what the proper term, like, being spoiled, they're the same thing, or they have very similar results, because in either case you don't have the right kind of education from your supposed educators, your parents. You don't learn the right things or the right way to do things. You don't have positive role models, you know.
Yeah.
It what's the word I'm looking for? It like bolsters the same effects. It's an interesting dynamic for sure.
Yeah, it is. And like I can totally understand the whole how they're super similar. It's just, I don't know, for someone who is kind of, I would say, very in the middle. Like, I've had to deal with things before, but I'm not like, you know, there's people who have had it way worse than me all the time, you know.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I can say the same thing. You know, there's always something I can guarantee is there's always going to be someone out there who's going through something worse than me. I like to use what I call like the theory of relativity when it comes to emotional trauma, and that's any given person's worst experience, the worst they've ever felt in their life, is the same, no matter what they've gone through, because it's the worst you've felt. You know, it's the scale of 1 to 10. If everyone has a 10, then everyone's felt the same at some point. It might not be the same in detail, but you can't compare apples to oranges and say, oh, you know, a child of abuse is any different than, again, once you get into the finer details, then yes, but any different than a spoiled child, because, you know, they feel the same things. They've felt the same emotions, more or less.
Yeah. I actually think it's very interesting that how like humans are so good at like communicate. I mean, I don't know about so good, but humans are good at communicating emotion and just being able to sympathize and empathize with one another. Like you were saying, everyone has their like worst thing or whatever. But everyone knows what that feels like, even though it may be completely different. Everyone can empathize for another person, and everyone can feel what that person was feeling, even though it could be completely different, you know?
Dude, that's one of my least favorite things is when somebody says, you have no idea how this feels. Like, I have some idea. I might not know the exact, like, sequence of emotions based off of the, like, given situation, but emotions aren't that complicated. Like, they're really not.
And that's why I use it so much, that I use sympathy and empathy a lot, because once I learned that sympathy is more like, you don't know exactly what it feels like, but you can understand and you can kind of, you know, relate or whatever, while empathy is you have been through pretty much the same thing, you know exactly how it feels. You know, they're similar, they're not quite the same, but humans can use either one to connect with another being, you know.
Life's just a fucking roller coaster, man.
Yeah.
All I have to say, though, is, like, for anybody who's going through depression or loneliness or just any kind of rough time right now, it will get better if you do something about it, you know? You have to grow. You have to learn. You have to change. If you stay the same, if you don't change anything in your life, it's never going to fucking go away. And it's so hard to get the motivation to do something about it. It's so fucking hard. But if
and that, going back to, like, the people thing, you know, if you have people in your life, or even, it doesn't even necessarily have to be people, if there's something in your life that you know, like subconsciously, you know that it's just making things worse, or it's even causing this, but for some reason you're afraid to let go of it, just don't be afraid to make yourself happy. Don't hold yourself back, just out of, you know, a little bit of fear that may or may not be unnecessary. I think life is so short to be held back by fear, you know, for little things, you know. Just live every moment to your fullest.
I think the hardest thing about that statement, or the hardest people to really understand that statement, is kids who are stuck in a house with abusive or neglectful parents that legitimately can't get out, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like I've been in a situation where I couldn't get out of that, you know. There wasn't enough to get me out of the situation. And there's really not any great advice to give except for just try and keep going. just try and get through it. Surround yourself.
Oh yeah,
We're
so
pretty close.
you're saying like, yeah, it's completely different for when you literally can't. But I think what I'm trying to, if you know if you have the option to, and your only thing that's holding you back is fear, of the change or something, I think you shouldn't be afraid to make yourself happy. But like you said, if there is, where you literally physically cannot, yeah, you definitely just.
If you can't, then you have
yeah.
to surround yourself with people that, like, those good people that are gonna help you, and that's gonna help you get through it. Find, do whatever care and maintenance for yourself that you can under those situations. Find something you love doing. Try and avoid the situation as much as possible. What the fuck?
Yeah. But yeah, in the great words of old President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. That's on period.
Surrounding yourself with good people is one of the best ways to... Well, okay, surrounding yourself with good people and then listening to them when they're trying to talk to you and trying to help you. Because I know, like, when I get super in a super bad headspace, I don't want to fucking listen to anybody. I'm just like, fuck off. I push people away. Like, you can't do that. I mean, you can, it's just not going to end very well. I know it took you, like, how long were you feeling bad before you even told me about it? And then you were so fucking terrified to even talk to your parents about what was going on.
I probably finally, like, realized, and it was like, I think I had that, like, clicking moment. Was like, oh, this is what this is. Like, this is why I'm feeling this way. This is what it is. I think, like, maybe a week or two before I told you, and then I started talking to you about it. I was like, dude, I'm not sure, but I think it's this. And you kind of reassured me. You're like, yeah, but it's okay. It's okay to accept it. It's yeah.
Dude, acceptance is such, like, that word is so powerful to me right now at this, like, after learning, like, if you're depressed, just looking at yourself and saying, I am depressed, and that's okay. Just, it helps so much. And you gotta believe yourself, and if you don't, just keep saying it until you do. But just, it was life-changing to have that realization. Like, just accepting where I was at made it so much easier for me to do something about it.
Like, I feel like this could apply to a lot of things. Like, just accepting it and doing something about it can, not only just change, like, the mental state, but you can really just change anything with just a few, good steps. And yeah,
Exactly. And acceptance doesn't mean complacency. I'm not sure what the actual word is because I'm a fucking idiot, but
I think that sounds correct.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't mean you can be complacent. There we go. It just means that you're not afraid of where you're at. And then that equips you better to make the changes that you want and need to make in your life. Thanks for coming to the TED Talk. This has been a depression and depressing episode of Deep Talks. But for real though, like, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, like you don't want to live, just
fucking kill yourself already.
No, this is the Deep Talks. We don't have to be mean.
Oh yeah, okay.
just like,
if you're ever feeling down, no, for real.
Ask
if you're
for
ever
help.
feeling down and depressed, just turn on some Logic.
Yeah,
I've been on a low. I've been taking my time.
Ask for help. Talk to people. It's coming from, like, a lot of experience, like a lot of times just wanting to kill myself. It's never worth it. Like, it gets better. It really does. It sounds like the most taboo, just bullshit thing to say, but it does. Just don't be afraid. You can get through it.